I start the frugal farmer? That's a really good question that my friend asked me today. I think I really started it because I want to be the change. I want to see more farming happening. Here on Vancouver Island, we are really food insecure. We really don't have enough farmers producing year round. And we're great on dairy and we're great on eggs, but when it comes to small scale vegetable production, it's just really not here. And what I keep hearing is when people come and check out our farm is they go, oh, that's so much hard work. And I say, why do you think that? And they kind of go, I don't know actually. And then they quickly get defensive and they go, well, it's expensive. And they start making all these excuses. And it kind of made me realize that in order to change a lot of those misconceptions that exist around small scale farming, I need to be the change. And so here we are. I don't think farming needs to be expensive. I don't think farming needs to be hard work. Well, it is hard work, we know that, but not as hard as people seem to think it is. And also, I guess finally, the reason I started this was because I have just met so many other farmers who have been so particular about the way farming needs to be done. It has to be done in this permaculture way. It has to be done in this holistic way. You have to use these kind of techniques. And it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if you're growing food, you're growing food, right? And that's really the heart of what the frugal farmer is not to be cheap. It's just to make farming accessible to everybody, whether you're growing that food for yourself, whether you're growing that food to sell, both, whatever. The point is that you're growing food and it's not nearly as hard or as expensive as people like to think. And I want to bust a lot of those myths. And so I'm really glad that anyone who's subscribed or checked out my channel is along with this adventure. I mean, I don't know anything. I'm not nearly at the level of some of these other rock star small scale farmers, but I think what happens is another reason that I've done this is because some of these other rock star farmers have been in this so long, they've been doing this for 5 to 10 years, that they kind of forgot what it was like to start out, and the technology was different and social media was different, and perhaps they didn't have the outlets to be able to do that then. And I think that there's a lot of gaps that are missing, right? How do you start? How do you just simply start? And how do you make the dollars go the furthest way? And how, if you have to choose 3 pieces of equipment, what would they be? And those kind of critical questions that I think people should be asking about, and how to make this the easiest possible, because I think that people do enjoy growing food. It's just that what happens is you start out and you have terrible luck, your germination's crap, your soil's terrible, you're spending so much time watering and irrigating that it just doesn't feel worthwhile. You ask yourself, how can this possibly be scalable? And so hopefully here's where I am, and fill in those gaps and just be really blunt with you about some of these things that are really challenging. And you know, I got 100 projects on the go all the time, and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And the two things is, don't be afraid to fail, and let not perfect be the enemy of good. And that's what I find is some people just want to be perfect, and there are so many mistakes you're going to make along the way. I mean, this year we grew a ton of broccoli, and finally we grew broccoli. It took us forever. And you know, carrots are still something I am plagued to grow, and I would love to know how to grow them. If you ever come to my farm, please tell me how to grow carrots. I just can't get them to grow. And so you learn these mistakes along the way, and you try things like my horse manure experiment, where I grew a garden bed in basically 75% horse manure. And the results were awesome, totally gangbusters, and not nearly the weeds people thought they were. And you got to be willing to try those kinds of things. So I want to make those mistakes for you and for others to be able to make sure that you don't make them as well. So that's kind of why I did Frugal Farm Makers. I want to see people grow. I want to make the mistakes for you. I want to get you to success as quickly as possible, and in a no BS kind of way that's just going to get you there. And that's kind of where we are. So thank you very much for joining the journey, and hopefully that explains why I'm doing this and where we're going to go. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.